Hi everybody, it's Micheline from michoumakes here. I have been tagged. I've been hoping that I would be avoiding it because I wasn't sure if you'd find my answers interesting enough to watch. But I was tagged by Daffodiledger and I'd like to thank her very much. As for answering andsewon, the lady from andsewon, who started this off with 5 questions, 1 take. So I can't have any breaks, I can't have any cuts, and I've got to carry on as it is. So please bear with me. I'll try not to dally too long. Question 1. If you were given a paid sabbatical to spend a year living anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? When I saw, do you know, I can't remember, is it Lisa from andsewon? I can't remember what her first name is. That's what happens when you get older, you can't remember things, so you start forgetting names, but to be fair, I've always forgotten names, so anyway, I digress. When I heard that question, I immediately knew what my answer was, and my answer would be, if I was having a paid sabbatical year, where would I go? It would be right here. Right here, because I couldn't think of anywhere else I'd want to go where everything is here to amuse me. I've been on holidays, I've gone to places, I've been to Italy, I've been to France, I've been to Spain, I've been to Sweden, I've been to Denmark, I haven't been to the Americas. Canada appeals to me, but not America. Sorry folks, it's just I'm not really shouldn't say this, you might not like me anymore. But anyway, basically I can't think of anywhere nicer to stay than my own back door, where I've got everything around me, where I'm not sitting twiddling my thumbs after a few days thinking, oh golly, I'm getting a bit bored now, I'd rather have my sewing machine out, and I'd rather be doing this, and I'd rather be doing gardening and enjoying the sunshine at home because, oh, it's too hot here, I can't cope with the heat, I can't cope with that. Have I got to have an injection? Have I got to take a tablet? Why have I got to have an injection? To stop me from getting this? So I prefer to stay here where everything is around me and I can enjoy doing what I want to do and reading what I want to read, playing what I want to play, and so on. So yes, that would be my answer to that question. Number 2, who was your favourite teacher growing up and how did they influence you? Well, do you know, I've thought long and hard about this one, and I had teachers at school, but I wouldn't say that they influenced me very much. But I was watching Daffodiledger and I couldn't think of who I should say. And then I was watching Daffodiledger give her little answer her little 5 questions. And it just suddenly went ping in my head, and I thought, well, of course, why didn't you think of those in the first place? The teachers that have influenced me the most weren't teachers, but they taught me an awful lot. They taught me more than anybody else in the whole world could teach me, and that was my parents. My father used to teach me. He was always the one I turned to if I needed help at school. He was always there. He taught me many things. He taught me how to fix cars. He taught me how to do DIY. He taught me how to do woodwork. He taught me how to. I helped him, and he showed me how to do plumbing. He taught me how to do silversmithing. He taught me how to make your own drill bits. He was an educator well beyond any of the teachers that I had, and continued to do so right until his dying day, to be fair. And I found it very hard that someone who didn't have an illness, that was just simply getting old, who still had a fount of knowledge in his head that I still hadn't learnt or got all the information from. I was so annoyed that he was my best teacher in one way, and my mother was my best teacher in the other way, because she taught me to sew, she taught me to be respectful, she taught me to knit, she taught me to cook, she taught me that as long as I did my best, it was that, you know, try hard, but as long as you do your best, it's all that can be expected of you. She was always behind me, and she always taught me what to do. Both of those were good teachers, and they far surpassed any of the teachers that I had at school. If I could think of one, I can't even think of her name. It was the PE teacher, because I used to love to play hockey, and she taught me hockey. But other than that, I had some that I didn't like. I think I knew more of I could tell you the names of the ones I didn't like more than the ones that I did. So that's my answer. Number 3. Name 3 things besides sewing that you're good at. Well, I do silversmithing. I do woodwork. I am very creative. I have acquired my father's skill of, when I do something, whatever I do, I think his words were, j'ai mieux que ça, I can do better than that. And I always think, when I do something, when I make anything, when I do anything, when I'm creating anything, I'm thinking I think outside the box and think, how could I improve on that? How can I do better than that? So yes, I'm often, when I go places and I have a coffee in a coffee shop, I'm thinking, how could they improve on this place? How could they get more business? I'm always thinking of what you could do with, to improve things. And the other thing is that I'm good at. What else am I good at? I'm very good, according to all the grandchildren, all the kids that I used to teach. I'm very good at telling stories. Making them up, not just reading them, but making them up. I'll say to my grandchildren, right, what do you want me to do? Give me a fairy, and what else can we have? Santa Claus, fairy and Santa Claus, and a bus. Let's have a bus, and I'll make up a story based around those things. And I used to teach to high school kids. And one day I had to read, they asked me, we were reading a book, part of their GCSE course. We were reading this book, and it was, the name slips me, I can't remember what it was. It was an American book, and it was about, I wish I could remember what it was. Anyway, it had to have, South Carolina type accent, and I was supposed to really be getting the kids to read this out, and I was saying, right, put the accent on, get this American accent on, the southern accent, the southern American drawl, and I was saying, right, it's like this, and I was reading it out and doing it in my drawl, which probably was nothing like what you Americans do, but never mind. And then I'd get each child to do it, and in the end they said, oh miss, will you just do it, because you're really good, we like the way you do it, you really make it sound exciting. So yes, I suppose I'm good at reading and making up stories for kids. Do you cook? What meal recipe are you most known for? This is question 4. If you don't cook, what meal recipe do you most like to have made for you? Well, I used to cook until I met my husband. And then he's my second husband. So I used to cook for my first husband and the kids. And then when the second husband came along and I cooked for him, he's as keen a cook as I was. And I was making curry or something, and I was doing the rice, and he stood behind me and he went, you don't do it like that, you don't do the rice like that. And I said, well, I've always done it like that, I do my rice like that. And he said, no, you don't do rice like that. And every time he would do it, and when I served the meal, I'd say, is the rice okay? And he'd go, yes, very nice, it's lovely, yeah, nothing wrong with it, but you don't do it like that, you don't make it like that. So in the end, I backed off and I said, okay, right, I give up. You can make the meals from now on. You can do it. So basically, for the past 18 years, I have been the chief bottle washer and he's been the cook. And then one day I made an omelette because he didn't have time or something, and I made an omelette, and he turned around and said, oh, you can cook? And I said, of course I can cook. I said, you just never let me do it, And he cooks everything, even down to the Christmas meal. I'm just the bottle washer, as I say. He plans it with such great precision, and the Christmas meal is never ever turkey. Never turkey. It can be wild boar. He even wanted to do crocodile one time, and I refused to let him do that. He'll do goose rather. He'll do duck. He'll do anything, but he will not do turkey, because he says everybody does turkey. I want to do something different. So yes, husband does all the cooking, and because he does all the cooking, it's quite nice, because I do. He cooks, I clean, and one of the two things that he makes that I absolutely love is his chili con carne. He's absolutely does the most beautiful hot and spicy chili con carne. I do like that. And the other one he does is a stir fry, a pork stir fry. I like that as well. I am very fussy about meat. It's not that I don't. I'm not a vegetarian. I think for me, although I was telling you about how I taught reading, English. I taught English, and I also taught biology in a high school. And when I was at school, we dissected animals, and I dissected a fish, I dissected a rabbit, I dissected a frog, an earthworm, and so on. And so I know what the parts are, and it kind of put me off eating them. And I just couldn't bear to think that I was eating that part of the animal. And then I think what topped it all, as I say, I'm not a great lover of meat, but my father is French. And when he used to cook, the French, as you know, the French like everything almost rare, medium rare. And I couldn't stand the thought of blood pouring out of meat. And also, I'll never forget when I was about 15 or 16, we went to stop with my grandparents in France. And I went with my older sister, who was 2 years older than me, and we were bored. And all we had to do was look after some rabbits that they had in cages in the garden. And I used to look after these 2 rabbits, feed them, stroke them, do all sorts. And then one day, we had a meal. My grandmother made the meal, and we were eating away at it. And she said, "Do you like it?" And I said, "Very nice." And she said, "Well, that's Fifi." And I just couldn't. I thought, "Oh my goodness me, I've eaten the rabbit." And I went. That was in the evening meal, and the next morning I went out to see if I could see what was in the cage, and there was only 1 rabbit. And I just thought, right, I'm sorry, I can't be doing that. I really can't. And then another time we were on holiday in France with the kids when they were little. And we stopped in a gîte. Gîte suddenly became the fashion. And we stopped in the gîte that was on a farm. And the farm had a restaurant in the corner of the farm. And one day we were sitting having our breakfast. And in front of us, the farmer's wife came out, picked up a chicken, strung its feet up and threw it over the washing line and slit its throat. And I just went, oh my God, kids, don't look, kids, keep out of the way, don't look. And I had to get them away from it. And I just thought, I'm sorry, I just can't bear to think that people do that. And my grandmother came from a butcher's family, so I can cope with it. If somebody said, kill that bird, I would do it, or do that. But just the thought that I had to eat it is just beyond me. I couldn't do it. So I'm very finicky about meat. I don't like it if it's bloody. I don't like if I'm chewing too long. And I get bored with meat. I find it boring. So I think my husband has such a task on with me to find food that I will actually willingly eat. And often when he does make the food, the meat gets shoved to the side and the vegetables get eaten. And it's not because I want to be a vegetarian, it's just that in here, I have this thought in here that it's just not, I don't like eating it. So that's me. So therefore I don't cook. And when I do cook, which I don't do very often, I do like to... I like planning a dinner with, if we've got people coming. If I had given the chance, if the husband wasn't taking over the kitchen, which he loves to do, I would love to plan a 3-course meal and have someone come to dine, you know, and plan it all like that. But often we plan it together. We plan the meal together, and he gets we both get the ingredients and he cooks it. So that's the answer to that. One sewing question, number 5. This is question number 5. What is your favourite pattern ever and why? And you know, I think a lot of us have all said that for us, the favourite pattern is the pattern that you do at that very moment. And I would say I have, in my lifetime, and believe you ladies, I have done, I would say, about 1,000 patterns. And some of them I've repeated over and over again because I've liked them. And other ones I've just done once, but I've still liked them. But I haven't felt the urge to do another one, not that because I didn't want to do it, but because I just thought that is so special that I don't want to make another one. And so really I would say my favourite pattern is the one that I create at that moment, where when it's finished and I try the garment on, I think this is really, really nice. And then I'll move on to another pattern. I might have a pattern that I don't like after that, or a pattern that it's all right. And the next one might make me feel really, really nice. And I think also the favourite pattern there is, like I say, I can't name any patterns, is the one, my favourite pattern is the one at the time that someone says to you, oh, I like what you're wearing. And where did you get it from? And the fact that they say that, and that's my favourite pattern at the time. But to name a pattern, I couldn't really say. Shift dresses, any shift dress, I used to like those, but obviously I've got a different body now, and maybe the shift dress might not look so nice. I've never made one for a long time, so. But when I was younger, I used to make a lot of shift dresses. And I would say the other ones that I used to make, there are several patterns that are very similar. The one where you've got the skirt coming out, and you've got like the what do you call it? Like the ballet dress I've just made, the Dixie DIY ballet dress, and like the Colette Moneta dress. That kind of dress I think is very flattering. I might not use the same pattern, but if you notice, we all tend to go for a same standard style. If we like that style, that's the style I would go for. Then yes, that's my favourite pattern. Moneta, Dixie DIY, long sleeved, round neck, high neck, waist fitted on the top, flared on the bottom. That's my favourite pattern. Can't name any particular one. And there you go. So those are my 5 questions. I've gone on for 18 minutes, far too long. Shouldn't have gone on for that long. Probably bored the pants off you. So I am hopefully going to catch you next time.